evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome back, everyone. Good to see everyone tonight. Good evening, everyone else. This business meeting is being held both in person and virtually through Zoom in compliance with the RSU 38 policy BED, remote participation in school board meetings. The meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the marinacook.org YouTube channel. Please be aware that during the course of the meeting, the microphones of the viewing audience on Zoom will be muted except for during the identified portions of public comments at this meeting. For today's agenda, that is number 5. If you would like to speak during the public comment times, please use the chat feature on Zoom to signal Mrs. Diane McGregor, and she will communicate with the board chair. In-person speakers, please sign up at the clipboard at the door. I think it's a yellow clip piece of paper tonight. All individuals that wish to speak, whether in person or virtual, please identify yourself with first and last name and the town you live in. Please note that individuals that do not live in our member communities may or may not be granted permission to speak at the discretion of the board chair. We also ask that speakers limit their individual comments to 2 minutes, and if someone speaks ahead of you that has a similar view, please reference their comment. We thank you in advance for your constructive comments.
So board members, we're going to do roll call. Please respond here. And if there's any members on Zoom, please make sure you can hear all other members. We'll do the roll call first. Dave G.
Yes, here.
Jay. Here. Annie? Is she online? Don't think she is. No. Dane?
Here.
Tyler?
Here.
Christine?
Here.
Kathy?
Here.
Patty?
Here.
Rebecca?
Here.
Betty?
Here.
Sean?
Here.
Kelty?
Here.
David T. Here. Eric?
Here.
And Esme? Here. Because we don't have anyone on Zoom from the board, we do not have to take roll call votes. We can just do a show of hands, and Kathy will lead us through that. Or sorry, I should say the board chair will. So at this point, I am going to actually kind of take over the meeting for the nomination of officers. I'm just going to review the process first, and then we'll open it up for nominations. So we will be doing chair first, followed by vice chair. What we will do is open up the floor for nominations. In order for a candidate to be viable, there must be a second for that candidate. We will give everyone enough time to make nominations. We will ask each candidate to speak about why they would like to be board chair. We will go in order of their nominations. After the speeches have concluded, then we will do a vote. And at this time, we don't need to do roll call, so I'm going to cross that off my list, and we'll just do a show of hands. And then we will do the same thing for the vice chair. As soon as those positions are nominated, I will turn the meeting back over to the chair. So having said that, nominations are now open for board chair.
I'd like to nominate Kathy Jacobs for board chair.
Second.
Third. I'm going to practice wait time. Are there any other nominations? At this time, not seeing any other nominations. Kathy, I'd like to invite you if you'd like to make a comment about being board chair at this time.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for your confidence in me as a board chair. I know that I've learned a lot over the past year about being a board chair and about the importance of our role as board members. And I really appreciate the support that you have all given me during this past year, and I look forward to continuing to learn and grow and make our district better than it already is. So thank you.
So at this time, I will just walk through the votes like we normally do. So the first one we'll do is in favor, and then if there's any abstentions, we'll go at that point. So having said that, all in favor, please raise your hand. Please keep it up for just a moment so we can record the votes. And at this point, it looks unanimous. Thank you guys very much. Kathy has abstained. But it looks like Kathy, you are going to be the board chair for one more year of RSU 38.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have one more order of business, and that is the vice chair. So at this time, any nominations for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate David Twitchell.
Second. You said that? Guilty. I'm going to practice wait time again. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? It looks like there is not. So at this point, I'll close nominations. And David, if you'd like to say a few words before the vote, I'd like to give you that opportunity.
Thank you. I just like helping out, and if I can help all of us work together, I love it. Thank you all.
Again, we'll use the same voting format. So at this point, all in favor of David Twitchell for vice chair? Raise your hands. And David, I'm assuming you're abstaining, so it looks like it was a runaway landslide again. So David, congratulations on being nominated vice chair. With that, I will turn the meeting back over to Kathy Jacobs, board chair for the 2022-2023 school year.
Thank you, Jay. So the next thing on our agenda is student representatives reports, but we don't have them here tonight. We're kind of haven't gotten there yet. So our next meeting, we definitely will have the students to report on how things are going. So then we have citizen comments. Are there any citizen comments on the? Can I hold on just a second? Karen, can you just look at that list or bring it up to me, please? Is there anyone on it? Nobody on it? Okay.
There's the reason why they want to talk, but there was no name on it.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, okay. So if you would go to the podium and let us know who you are and what town you represent, that would be great.
My name is Renee Green, and I'm a Manchester resident. My 3 children went through the Marana Creek school system, and now I am a substitute helper. I hate to call myself a teacher because I'm not, for our district. And I've worked with a lot of teachers, and I know during the COVID, it's been extremely hard, and I know how short-staffed all the schools are. I've come to understand that Audrey Danforth is being taken from Manchester and moved to Wheatfield. I don't know if the parents know, but for me, I've seen, I've had a child who needed help. Audrey is respected and loved, and I was in the 1st grade last year in Manchester, and it was a challenging class. And when I was in there, Audrey always took command. She always had the respect of the children, more than any other staff member. And these students who were not only academically challenged, and their behavior was challenging, and they came from very challenging homes. These students love respect Audrey. And Audrey, she has them working and challenging them, and they will work for her. They will read for her. They will write for her. She just has a presence about her. She travels an hour to get to Manchester. So when I got to know her, she told me, when I knew there was an opening in Manchester Elementary, I applied for it. And I love it. So when I heard that she was being transferred, I felt very upset and sad. You know, I feel, I don't know I only know what I know, but I feel if Audrey, if she is moved, you run the risk of losing her. I mean, can you all afford to lose another educator? And she's always educating herself. She's a wealth of knowledge. She's at the edge. She greets the children every morning outside. And she has, whether it's rain, sleet, or snow. When I'm there, Audrey is outside. She's greeting all the children and the parents that walk the children in. We've had such an upset few years. You know, continuity for these students is everything. So I'm here because I know what it's like to have a child who's academically challenged and to have the continuity of an educator that my child likes and will work for them. So to uproot this teacher and bring them somewhere else, it doesn't make sense.
Thank you, Renee. I did ask for a 2-minute.
Okay, but why
giving you
can't
the-
you
I'm giving you
why
the
can't you
warning.
use her in a different way?
I'm giving
You know.
you, I'm just giving you a
Okay,
2-minute
no,
warning.
okay, thank you.
And thank you for the information. And that is a personnel issue, and it's not something that we can really discuss now, but thank you for the information. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make a comment? Anyone online, Diane? Okay. Say that again.
Can I ask a question to her comment?
So are there any additions or adjustments to the agenda by the board of the superintendent? Patty?
It's not really an addition, but it could be an adjustment. June, when we last had our meeting, we mentioned at a meeting the possibility of researching if Esme and Eric or the student representatives on the board could have sort of a vote or a say, even though it might not be really counted. I don't know how to say that, you know what I'm saying, right? And I just wanted to check back in on that and see if it was something that was ever looked into, and if not, if we could look into it now.
So as far as what I know about that, that's really up to us, that we can decide if we want to do that or not. And I think it would be a great move for us to, when we have something to vote on, to hear what their votes would be on those issues, even though they can't officially count towards whether the motion might pass or not, but we would really like to know what you would like to. So I think according, if we agree that that's something that they can do, then we can do it.
Can we make an addition to the agenda and add that on there?
Sure.
Thank you.
Why don't we make that? Let's make it them voting. Student vote for student representatives, or it's voting by student representatives. Student board members. Student board members.
Can I just, I don't want to put them on the spot, but in some cases, that could be a lot of pressure for them if they want to vote or not. I mean, we want to make it comfortable for them. So I think maybe off not right now, I'm not trying to put you, but since we're talking about this publicly, I want to throw that out there. I think maybe you should have a talk.
I think you're right. And I think,
Because if you're voting on a staffing decision or something, that could get a little awkward.
and I think whatever it is that we're voting on, if they feel uncomfortable voting on it, they don't
Right.
have to vote. But I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think we
Off the
should.
record.
Yeah. Right.
That's a conversation that should be had.
Any other adjustments or additions to the agenda?
Right. Discuss the conversation that was just had about Audrey Danforth moving to Reedfield.
That is a personnel issue that we really shouldn't be discussing at the board level.
But it affects the entire school. And I feel like if there's a substitute teacher that's come in and had a conversation about it, it's obviously a bigger issue that is concerned to the community. I didn't know about it. And it's very bothersome to me as well.
And I would go again, say that that's something that we need to talk to the principals and the superintendent about at a different time. I don't think that talking about personnel in public is appropriate. Anything else?
Well, I guess I have
Go
a
ahead.
follow-up to
Yeah,
that
yes,
because
go ahead.
I get it's a personnel issue, but there's a lot of rumors out there and it's I'm just gonna be blunt. There's people talking around the edges. I don't know much about it, but I'm hearing a lot about it and it has rocked the entire district. And there's talks amongst people on this board where I tried to say who to, so I think we need somehow, there's gotta be a way for the board. There's people calling the board members and I did refer them, but they're still not happy with the responses. So I think there is a chain of command somehow. So I don't know how to do it, but there's got to be a way. It's rocking multiple, and we had a lot at the end of last year. We had a lot of talk about morale of the district, and this seems to have, for whatever reason, maybe we were told we can't know, and that's the end of it. But I feel there's got to be a way to discuss these things.
So I think we can discuss the actions without bringing the personnel
Correct.
into it.
Yes, that's where I'm not asking names or I
I
don't
think
even want
that's,
why,
you know,
because it seems, I don't,
Right.
again, there's rumors, is what I've heard,
Right.
and people were moved from this school to this school to this school. I don't want names, but
I think we can
kinda
talk
gotta
about the
know.
big
There's
picture
got to be a way we can talk about.
and the
these
reason
issues.
behind what happened. But I just feel really uncomfortable talking about specific personnel.
Even just as a note, and I'm not saying it should not be addressed or talked about in some way, but yes, to be very careful, because even if we're talking a broad picture, in cases like this, one comment about one thing for most of the people involved refers directly to a person.
No,
Even if
I
we're talking
understand that, but
generally.
there's got to be a way to address just every major issue that happens in the district. You can't just say, oh, we can't talk about it. I mean, because that could cover pretty much every decision made.
Can we discuss in an executive session first and then talk to the public about
Yes,
it?
I think that would probably be a good move to
Right.
talk about it in executive session.
I'm
so
not
that
saying we
we're-
need to talk about it tonight, but I just don't want it to go away
Right.
because I think it's bubbling.
So
You want me to plan an executive session for next meeting? Would that be okay with everyone?
I just wonder if it's too late at that point. If decisions are already made and things are already done, is it too late?
Well, I think it's still important if people are wondering why and what the process was for the changes that happened. I think that's still important.
So I guess my only question to that is we help and look and vote on hiring. So isn't this the same thing? We hire them to a specific school in a
No,
specific
no.
position?
No, the administrators have the authority to move people around the district as they see fit. That's in one of our policies.
It's in the contract.
And it's in the contract as well. Yep. So we'll put it on executive session for next.
Yeah, that's, I just think there's gotta be some way to discuss these things.
Anything else? Okay, do we have a celebration tonight?
It's not really a celebration. I wanted to invite the principals and administrators, if they'd like to talk about anything about the first couple days of school. I just wanted to offer them that opportunity. All the board reports were written well before school actually started. So if they have anything they'd like to share, I'd like to do it at this time. Well, I'm going to speak for them. Just the first several days of school have been absolutely fantastic. I was able to visit all schools. I was able to get into a lot of different classrooms the first couple days as well. The buildings looked fantastic. The kids were happy. I said to several people that I went into buildings where I was like, it's like we didn't even skip a beat. Like everyone's engaged and everyone's doing some absolutely great things in the classroom the first couple of days. So from my point of view, it went fantastic. And I think it felt very normal this year as opposed to where we were at this time last year. So it was just, and I think that's a credit to the leadership that's in the building and giving teachers permission to kind of get back to normal. So I was very, very pleased with everything that I saw going forward. So I'm going to put that out there because I think it's important.
It is. Thank you. Do any board members have any questions or comments about any of the reports that were in our packet? Okay. Anything on Austin Bear Society? That was like a see.
And that was Kim Bowie that used to do it. So we'll be looking for a new person and hopefully the meetings won't overlap because that was a challenge for Kim last year.
So the next thing is the review of subcommittees and assignments. So in our packet, we all got a form to sign up for the committees that we wanted to be a part of. So we need to turn those into Donna so she can, I think some people have already done that, which is great. Okay.
I have Annie's as well. So. Oh, and you got some more.
Great. Any discussion on any of that? I think it's in this.
Oh, and that's,
In this, yeah.
sweet. Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
Okay. So moving on to action items. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes of June 15 board meeting?
I motion to approve the minutes of June 15th, 2022 board meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? I have a discussion. So as I was reading through them, I noticed that my name was on the list of people that were involved in the hiring of the vice principal at the high school. And that wasn't true because I wasn't on that committee. So that is to come, it needs to be amended. Betty?
I was marked as present and I was not present. I was stuck in Connecticut.
So we need to amend that piece too.
Yes.
Anything else?
I don't have to do roll call if you just want to call.
Oh, okay, that's right. I was waiting. I'm so used to you doing a roll call. Like, all those in favor? Raise your hand. With the amendments. Opposed? Abstain? Passes. Do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the August 24th retreat?
I move that we approve the minutes of the August 24th board retreat.
Second. Any discussion?
Can I just let anyone that wasn't able to make the board retreat, I do have the packets of information. If you'd like to pick one up, just let me know at the end of the meeting. I brought them over in case you wanted to review them.
And we will be talking about that in a little bit more detail at the end of the meeting tonight in our discussion section, for those of you that weren't here, and for those of us that were. All those in favor of approval of the minutes from the retreat, raise your hand. All those opposed? Abstain? There's gonna be a lot of abstention. I was just gonna say, do you have enough to pass the motion?
Yes, we had six.
Back up to abstain.
Oh, abstain or?
Abstain.
Oh,
It's a tie.
it's a tie.
Well, I could-
Do we have to go through the whole rank?
I missed it.
I don't think you have to abstain. I mean, I can vote yes that I approve it. I did read them and I didn't find any errors in them. I mean, I don't know if it was
You don't have to
accurate, but
abstain.
You can just put me as a yes. I trust.
Okay.
I trust the people.
pretty safe.
I was there.
Okay, so it passed. Thank you. Well, I was thinking the same thing as it was going around. Okay, do I have a motion for the acceptance of the donations as
I
listed?
move we accept the donations as listed.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor of accepting the donations? Everybody, okay, great. The next, do I have a motion for the ratification of approval of the request for 1-year leave of absence for Jeanette Jacobs?
I move that we approve the request for a 1-year leave of absence for Jeanette Jacobs.
Second. Any discussion? I do have discussion. The information that we had in the packet listed her as a math interventionist, and she was the literacy interventionist.
Gonna correct that.
So that needs to be amended or corrected. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Do I have a motion for the ratification of approval of request of 1-year leave of absence for Kristen McLaren, high school French?
I move to ratify the approval of a 1-year leave of absence for Kristen McLaren as recommended by the superintendent.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Is there a motion for ratification of approval of a 1-year leave of absence for Sue Hogan from Wayne?
I move that we ratify the approval of the request for a 1-year leave of absence for Susan Hogan from Wayne.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Is there a motion for ratification of the middle school principal Rick Royce?
I motion to ratification of middle school principal Rick Royce.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Is there a motion for the ratification of high school vice principal Cal Dorman?
I move that we approve or ratify the appointment of high school vice principal Cal Dorman.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Is there a motion for the ratification of middle school dean of students Sarah St. Pierre?
I move we ratify the middle school dean of students, Sarah St. Pierre. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Is there a motion for ratification of teacher resignations accepted during the summer? There's this.
I move that we ratify the teacher resignations accepted during the summer.
Second.
Any discussion? We did have a list in our packet. All those in favor?
Yep.
A motion for ratification of teachers hired during the summer?
I move the ratification of teachers hired during the summer.
Second.
Any discussion? Again, there was a list in our packet. All those in favor? Is there a motion for the rescission of professional staff resignation? Mary Freeman, secondary probationary contract at the middle school, and Margot Georgi, continuing contract for middle school German.
I move that we approve the recession of professional staff resignations, Mary Freeman and Margot Georgi.
Any discussion? I just want to say I'm glad we have both of them back. All those in favor? Is there a motion to allow student board members to vote on motions that we bring to the table?
I move it.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, you go ahead.
I move that we allow students to vote with the option to pass or abstain if they want to, whenever they want to. Second.
Is there any discussion?
Christie.
I think just what Sean had said earlier, just the discussion of specifically talking to them about how they feel about that is important, so. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Great. So the last thing, well, next to the last thing on the agenda is our board retreat. Just a little recap of the retreat for those of you that weren't there. Does anyone want the packet to look at? We could pass those around. You can grab one if you weren't there. Tyler?
Thank you.
I think that's one more left.
Do we need one more?
You need another one down there? David needs one. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, that actually.
No, use that one. No, that's the last one. I have to use that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Can I ask a question about
go
it?
ahead.
So I noticed in the minutes, there were the leadership style thing, the exercise that you did. I thought it was really interesting that they were almost evenly split between the 4 buckets. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yes, and before I do, I was going to ask the people that weren't here if they would be willing to do that
Oh.
same activity so we could see where you fall. But what that activity was, there were 4 different compass points, north, south, east, and west, and each one of them had different characteristics. Let's see if I actually I have a copy of it right here.
I don't know if there was any copies in there.
Yeah, there was.
Oh, there's copies.
No, there wasn't one in my packet.
there
that you
wasn't?
gave me.
Oh, I'll pass that.
And so if you felt that you were like somebody that was really somebody that wanted to just get it done, that you could motivate and challenge others to get work done and really try new things, then you would have gone to the north. So I had the north, south, east, and west all around the room, and people went to the different compass points that they felt best described them. So all of those are right there on that sheet. Does anybody else not have that sheet? So it's north, south, east, and west. West was the direction of detail, the like who, what, when, where, and why. Reliable, get things done, organized. East was the direction of the big picture. Speculate about all the possibilities before taking action. Connect with individuals with the purpose of the organization. And then south was the direction of caring. Wants everyone's feelings to be considered and their voices to be heard. So those of you that weren't here, if you could just think about where you might, which one of those four categories you might fit into. And one thing that we really did all agree on was that we could have probably gone to more than one because, oh, it's this one, like some of it is in this one, but we had to pick one. So, you know, the one that really mostly described who we were. So that was a pretty fun activity, and it was interesting to see how the distribution was, Rebecca. It was, and we talked about like, how do we work with people that come from a different point than we do, and how do we make sure that everyone's really working together and understanding what other people's strengths are and working. And we talked a little bit about which one of these would be the hardest for us to work with. So it was very good conversation. So then is there any other questions on anything for keep going? Then we did and we had the administrators all there with us, which was pretty cool too. They all did this activity and we didn't put them where they were, so did we? No, we didn't. Oh, I didn't know if you had that. I couldn't remember if it was there. So it was pretty interesting to see, and I think it's important for us to know, all of us, administrators and us, where we're coming from so that we can really work as a team. So the next part that we did was we looked at identifying our core values, and in your packet, I think. And the way that we did that activity is we had a very long list of core values, and we had them around the room, and we put dots we narrowed them down to the three most important ones for us personally. And we went around the room and put dots on each one. And then I think this chart is in all of your folders. So this is how it all came out when we were done. So we came up with the purple ones being the core values for our district that we really want to focus on this year. But we also wanted to look at what were some of the other ones that people really thought were important. So we really need to think about those along the lines too. So it's collaboration, family, integrity, perseverance, and respect. So those were the ones that came up. And trust came in there pretty closely, which was another one. So those are the really important things. And we're going to really try to focus on those things as we do our work this year. And then we let the administrators go home. So they didn't really want to go through all the nitty gritty board stuff that we did. But we really appreciated them coming, and it was a great conversation and great to have them all there. And then we went into just talking about, what are the roles of the board and what are our responsibilities and, those kinds of things. We had a lot, discussion about what we should and shouldn't be doing as board members. I forgot about the activity that Jay did. Jay did. He had some really interesting questions as we were introducing ourselves. He had very interesting questions that we had to answer, and it was fun. It was getting to know each other. I can't remember what the questions were. Oh, I can't remember what mine was.
Where would you like to travel?
Oh, yeah, right.
That was mine.
Where would you like to travel, or something? I think mine was something about what was your favorite TV show when you were a child. It took me a while to think that far back, but I got it. So it was really kind of fun just to hear things from other people and get to know them. And then we talked about the administrators have come up with their goals for the year and how we as a board can mesh our goals with their goals and help support them through the year with what their goals are. So Anybody else want to add anything? Anybody that was there want to add anything that I know?
The norms and the goals are going to be further discussed at our workshop this month.
So we talked about norms again, and we're going to talk about them a little bit more on the 21st. And the other thing that we did at the end of the meeting, we did an exit ticket where people let us know something that they learned and something that they want to learn more about, and then some questions that they might have had at the end of the session. And we thought that what we would do is take these questions and talk about them, maybe like one each meeting. So I'm going to read one of the questions that came up because I think it's important for us all to hear this question. And the question was, is it okay for us as a board member to reach out directly to administrators? And if so, what are the guidelines for doing this? So that was a question that someone had. Does anyone have any comments on that or any thoughts about that?
Yes.
Guess what? You have a comment?
No, yes.
Oh, yes, it's okay for us to call administrators and. Well,
I want to.
you want to?
I want the ability to, or them to build a company.
That's the different thing. Them to call you, yes, absolutely. They should be able to call any one of us at any time. As far as, in my opinion, and what I know, what I've learned from being a part of the Maine School Board Association is that reaching out as a board member, you're not really reaching out as a board member because you're not really a board member until we're all sitting right here together. So reaching out to them really isn't the best practice. Having them feel comfortable to reach out to us is very important. But we need to make sure that they're reaching out to us and that we can really build that trust so that they will. But as far as us reaching out to them, that's not really the best practice.
So that was my question. Thank you so much for raising that. I just want to clarify that that was just to educate myself as a new board member. I would love to be in the schools and, but I will wait for an invitation.
And that's the key right there. We're
Yeah.
hoping, we're all sitting around here hoping that we're going to get lots of invitations
Okay.
so that
Yeah.
we can be in the schools because we want to be.
Yeah.
We want to be in the schools. We want to be supported. And we want people to know that our role is in no way evaluative when we're in the building. So, and we want to be invited in. So it's important that we build that trust so that they will give us a call and say, why don't you come in and see what's going on. So that was the one question that I chose for tonight. We've got all these others that we'll look at in the future. So any other questions or comments or concerns about the retreat? Okay.
We did talk, as in the minutes reflected, it, we did talk about the possibility of having a mid-year or end of the year retreat as well. So those who didn't attend the first one, may be able to attend one of those.
I think Dane wanted them monthly. Wasn't that your suggestion? We thought about having them quite a bit.
Monthly recap?
Monthly retreat.
Is that in the minutes?
I remember that.
I don't remember saying that.
But yes, to do it again and follow up. And it's hard to align everybody's schedules. And it was a bummer to miss half of us, you know?
It was. We really noticed that a lot of you weren't here. It really felt like, we wanted you here,
I know.
but we understand. I mean, I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. I know that people have lives.
It's working, Kathy.
But-
It's working. It's working.
Can I just say to all the administrators who are here that when we were talking about that, what I remember is that we were pretty jazzed about how together we felt with you, like we felt like we were all together in a community team, and it felt really good. And we were talking about what might be ways that we could hold on to that throughout the school year. And so just so you know, that's where that came from, because we wanted to go.
Invite us. Invite us in.
Yes, please invite us in.
We have to be invited.
Yes. Invitation only. I did have another question from somebody that kind of was that same question. Do you have to have permission from the superintendent every time you want to volunteer? And that absolutely not. Like if you're going into a school to volunteer or something like, you know, if you've worked it out with the principals and the teachers, that's fine. You don't have to go through the whole, you know, checking with the superintendent, just as long as the principal and the teacher. And the other thing that I really worry about is making sure that every staff member, you know, I might be going into one particular class, but I want to make sure that every staff member in the school understands that I am only there as a volunteer or as somebody that's there to help teachers, not as anybody that's going to try to evaluate or bring something back to Jay or anything like that. I think that's really important. So. Anybody else? So I asked David if he would keep an eye out tonight for how we did with our norms. So I'm going to put you on this.
Good, good. Well, I was watching very carefully and I set up a list so I could check off wherever we slipped up. And I thought it went well. People were sharing ideas. You know, there were some things that we were very concerned about, but it was handled in thoughtful, careful ways and listening openly to all, not interrupting, being responsible about our tone. So forth. It was really good to see.
Thank you. Thank you for observing that. So before I call for adjournment, I just want to ask everybody to be thinking about what our goals should be for the year and come to our next meeting with some ideas about what we should set as our goals for the year. Okay? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn. Second.
All those in favor?
Well,